Every time I'm on a job like this, it kind of functions as a way for me to see Singapore all over again.
So Singapore to me is a little bit like kueh lapis. It's many layers, it's very colorful, it's kaleidoscopic, and it tastes sweet. So I think that in my work, it's very important to be able to provide the foundations for all these nuances to express themselves. And I find myself wanting to express a range of identities and experiences because I think that that is true to the environment that I have grown up in, and also is a testament to sort of all these different ingredients, textures, and just like idiosyncrasies that make Singapore, Singapore.
Inevitably, every time I do one of these film projects, I project my aspirations and hope for Singapore. It's about the banal, it's about the small moments, it's about the kind of offhand connections we make with one another.
I actually think that being away sometimes gives you greater clarity. You have a more nuanced understanding of that which you have been distanced from. So in that sense, I kind of think about Singapore almost as like a teenage love, where you know each other's strengths and weaknesses, you know each other's good points and bad points. You grew up together, you've been through high and hell water together, and even if you were to both move on in some sense from there, there's always something inexplicable and inevitable to come back to that feels like home.
I mean, you can imagine if this was given to different filmmakers, how differently it could turn out because it's so sparse. So then for me, the fun was writing onto the writing and to make all these kind of like simple ideas really like flesh out and come to life. So when I was directing, I can really kind of craft an emotional moment. I think for me, that was the fun of it, to keep to the essence of what Amanda wrote, but at the same time, to imbue it with life. And I feel like that for me was my version of writing in this project.
You would really be surprised by what grabs the attention or imagination of an artist. Scott, the general manager of Marquee, he took me through this staircase that connected Marquee to the Sands Theatre. There were these old graffiti of plays that had ever been staged in Sands Theatre, such as My Fair Lady, The Lion King, and all these cultural creations that have passed through these doors. And so I knew by hook or by crook that somehow this had to make it into the film. I think that for our size, we truly have a lot of world-class chess players. And I believe that our youngest grandmaster is 17 years old, which I think is a huge achievement. And I think that, again, is a great metaphor for being a country that constantly punches above our weight.
I found out about this group called the Aliwal Chess Club, and it's really cool what they do. They organize chess games in the middle of different outdoor locations, on the streets at night, and their whole atmosphere just felt really like fun and vibey. As I started researching, Paul Morphy's game was one of the most iconic chess games ever because it is really fast and it was very aggressive. And I remember during the rehearsal, when I was with Lana and Irfan, I showed them this game. And so it was just very casual, me and my iPhone, me just like, hey Lana, here, Irfan, this is the chess game that you'll be playing. And then like Lana looked even quite bored as she's like looking at it. And then suddenly like Lana just like took over the game by just watching my iPhone for like just one time, already remembered the entire game from start to end. And then her mom was like, yeah, that's what they do. They remember games. Yeah, and then I just felt really humbled actually that I was working with people who were just really exceptional in ways that feel offhand to them.
So I wrote all these characters also to reflect the very specific talents and quirks of these different personalities. I think it's really beautiful that they can now exist in one film together, where you might not expect to see a chess player with a swimmer, with a thespian, with a singer. That just actually reminds me of a Kueh Lapis, and it shows how layered existence in Singapore is and how colorful it can be.
So for me, there were all these soft Singaporean symbols in the film, like the LED neon bicycle uncle, the ice gems, a koel bird that we added as part of the sound design. But at the same time, I think it was always important for me to integrate them in a way that felt cohesive with the story, so that they felt almost invisible in essence, so that people don't just feel that this is a symbol for the sake of a symbol. Belle already had like a long day, and I think even for talents, by the time you hit 8 p.m, you would already be exhausted. In such moments, it would always be stressful to a filmmaker, like to me, right? Because we also had like a limited time to shoot, and also because Jasmine, this is her first time ever in a narrative film, so then I felt like a lot of pressure in that moment. But I was also really moved because when I was reviewing the takes, I realized Jasmine was giving so much to actually help Belle perform better. Like in between her moments, she would always say like Belle, 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 so that Belle would be looking at her. She was still helping her co-actor, and she was doing this invisibly. That scene of Jasmine in a Porsche kind of like riding across Shears Bridge, the drone, that was super exciting because we had to make sure that traffic was clear, and that was mostly by luck. Like Jasmine had to be traveling down the highway at a certain speed. Our drone had to like catch up with her. So every time her car appears, like our DP Ellen would scream like something, she's here, you know, and then like everyone would be like screaming, and then the drone would catch her. Another scene that I really love shooting, but for a more kind of internal emotional reason, was the scene between King Hua and Xian on the bumboat when they were surrounded by water and the skyline. In the script, it was just also again a very simple moment. It was just written as Xian leans her head on King and they kind of ride off into the water, right? But at the same time, because their bond is so real, I think I was just very, very moved when I saw how Xian just found ways to like kind of tuck her body into like King's neck. When I saw the frame and I just saw how both of them were just completely at ease, and then I saw like the city lights and I saw the water, I was like, and that was just very moving.